Hello and welcome to the Donor Conversation Weekly. This is actually our inaugural donor conversation that we are bringing to you live. It's Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern here on LinkedIn. And each week in the Donor Conversation Weekly, we are helping fundraisers prepare to build deeper donor relationships with live, real time donor scenarios. After each scenario, we're actually going to invite Coach Tivy, the first ever and only AI fundraising coach, to help us go deeper and give a little bit of feedback. These sessions each week will last about 10 to 15 minutes, and we hope that they're helpful as you prepare and navigate the 2025 giving season. My name's Brian Funk.
And I'm Charlotte Fetters, and I'll be leading us through our first donor practice scenario this week, and that is seeking a commitment from a re-engaged lapsed donor. So really excited to bring this scenario to the dashboard to all of our customers here at Practivated as we head into the busiest fundraising season of the year. Re-engaging lapsed donors is especially important. Fall is full of events, appeals, opportunities to give, and many supporters are already thinking about where to direct their year-end giving. So a conversation like this helps us not only bring a valued donor back into the fold, but also reassures them that every level of support matters and that will keep them meaningfully connected. It's a chance to turn that yes, but a small gift into a renewed relationship, just in time for that kind of year-end momentum. So excited to be sharing this lapsed donor conversation with you all and getting a little peek into what we've been up to at Practivated.
Yeah, and I'll share Practivated now. The beautiful thing too is that this will be a great look into how AI can help you practice for the giving season. So, Charlotte, before we bring Coach Tivy on stage, let's run through a scenario that'll help us practice how to re-engage a lapsed donor.
Yes, absolutely. So here in our practice scenarios, you'll see our seeking commitment from a re-engaged lapsed donor. This is, like I said, someone who's already re-engaged. This is a second call with that lapsed donor who responded positively to the first outreach post, giving lapsed. So I'm going to just click start session, and we're going to dive in and see how this donor responds and just walk through a practice session here.
Hi, thanks for following up. I looked through what you sent, and I do want to get involved again. I'm thinking about starting smaller this time, but I'd love to hear how I can stay connected.
Absolutely. I completely understand wanting to start at a level that feels comfortable right now for you. What's most meaningful to us is that you're choosing to be a part of this work again, and your support truly makes a difference, no matter the amount.
Thanks, Charlotte. That means a lot to hear. I've always believed in what you all do. I just had to take a step back for a bit. Starting small feels like the right pace for me now. It'll help me rebuild that trust and connection again, you know? I'd really love to stay in the loop, like seeing real updates and knowing where things are headed. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. One way to stay connected is through some of our regular programming. We have some fall walkathons coming up. We have our big gala in November to celebrate year end. We have some special donor community events where we have volunteers who help provide those resources for people in the community. And we also make a point to highlight the direct impact of gifts like yours in our regular newsletter that goes out monthly. So if you're open to us signing you up for that, you'll always know, see the difference you're making with your gift.
That actually sounds really nice, Charlotte. I'd like to get those newsletters. Seeing real stories and outcomes would really help me feel connected again. And the community events sound interesting too. I might not be up for a big gala, but a walk or something more casual could be great. I appreciate you laying all this out without any pressure. I'd like to come back in at $25 a month to start. That feels doable for me right now. Does that work? And is there anything else I should expect next?
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for, rejoining our community of supporters. It truly means a lot. We can make sure to get you on that newsletter list. We'll also get you invited to our fall walkathons coming up in both Cincinnati and Columbus. I know you're kind of in between there, so you can take a look at those dates. And we'll be sending those updates in the newsletter. And like I said, they're not just reports, it's real stories of lives changed because of people like you. And so, again, it truly means so much for you to recommit to supporting our organization. And I'll go ahead and get that gift set up for you at that level.
That all sounds great, Charlotte. Thank you for making this feel so easy and welcoming. I'll keep an eye out for the newsletter and the walkathon info. Columbus might be the one I aim for. And hearing those stories will definitely help me stay connected to the mission, which is what I've been missing. Thanks again for everything. I'm really glad to be part of this again, even in a small way.
Great. Thank you. And we'll be in touch. I'm really grateful for your generosity, and I look forward to keeping you connected in the way that feels best for you. Woo! So there's your practice
Amazing.
session. So we're going to give Coach Tivy a moment here to pull our feedback together, and then we will get to take a look at our amazing feedback dashboard that shares 16 different skills that you are scored on. You can kind of take a look at where your scoring is for that particular skill, whether it's a relationship building skill, a fundraising specific skill, and we can dive into what maybe I could have done better or what went really well. And then we can even ask Tivy for additional feedback. So we'll take a look at that here in a moment.
That's great. And, just so everybody knows, if you're a current Practivated user, these are real scenarios that are actually getting added to the platform every single week. So you will see now that you can actually practice how to re-engage the lapsed donor scenario right within the platform as well. So these are being updated on a weekly basis to try to meet you right where you are in the middle of the giving season. I think, Charlotte, like as you pull up the dashboard and walk us through like some of the reflections, I'm also just curious to hear from you, like what was your experience in that AI practice session? Like what were you noticing or realizing as a fundraiser as the conversation was unfolding?
Yeah, I think something that stood out for me in this particular conversation was, having things prepared to talk to the donor about that could be engaging, but not necessarily around giving. So they asked, how they could stay further connected to the organization, where my mindset going into it was like having that conversation around the gift and at what level, and how we're going to share updates and impact, and so I had some preparation for that flow. But when the donor kind of turned it to, what are ways I can stay engaged in the community, I think that's really important to always have that ready to share with the donor. And that was something that kind of kept me on my toes and made me think in a broader way about how we want to bring these donors into the fold, and especially lapsed donors who probably felt disconnected. We want to make sure that like they're getting that engagement that's not just an ask. So that's kind of how I felt. Definitely had nerves, but that is what this is for. This is to get all the nervous energy out and feel more confident and feel like you are prepared to say the right thing at the right time with this donor to build that on that relationship and make them feel connected to you and the organization. So, that's the purpose here. So those jitters were probably there for me. You could probably hear that a little bit. So that's why I come in here, can practice over and over. And that's one thing I'll point out here is we can you can jump right back into that same simulation if you want to continue practicing that same lapsed donor conversation. And then just a quick view over here on the left-hand side of these 16 different skills you're scored on. So they're in 4 different buckets. And then you have the 5 different levels of scoring here, Tivy level talent being the top. And so then you can kind of see where you scored on each of these specific skill sets in relationship building, strategic thinking, fundraising specific. And then we wanted to feature Tivy too. So I think let's maybe identify one of the areas where I was scored a little bit lower. So structure, flow, transitions. I think I could feel that. I could feel that I was maybe a little like jumping the gun a little bit to like get that response from him and didn't like have the perfect transitions from one thing to the next. So I'm going to ask Tivy what she thinks about that score and how she thinks I could improve in a future conversation. So I'll just click
Amazing.
talk with Tivy. Here we go.
Hello, Charlotte. How can I support you in improving the structure, flow, transitions? I've seen your feedback and conversation. Let's explore how we can strengthen this area together.
Yeah, thanks, Tivy. I did feel like I had a nice flow throughout the conversation with the donor and felt really connected and engaged to him. But I did feel that my transitions from those re-engagement opportunities to the giving, to, the ask to kind of the gratitude and thankfulness of the conversation wasn't clear, and it kind of felt a little choppy. Do you have some suggestions on how I could improve that in my next practice session?
You're right on track, Charlotte. The connection and warmth you built were clearly felt by the donor. That was a major strength. Those moments of transition, though, are powerful trust building opportunities when used intentionally. To smooth out that shift from re engagement into giving and gratitude, try briefly recapping what the donor said before introducing the next part of the conversation.
Mm,
It reassures them that you heard them and creates a natural on ramp to your next point. For instance, it means so much that you want to reconnect and start small. That kind of steady support truly sustains this work. If you're open to it, I can walk you through a few simple ways to get involved again, starting with this steadies the pacing and makes your intentionality more visible without sounding scripted or abrupt. Want to try drafting one transition line now from a donor saying they're interested in starting small into offering ways to re engage?
So she's spot on for me. I felt like I that was a really good piece of feedback that I didn't kind of take a pause, a breath, and repeat the donor's interest so that they heard that I was actively listening to their needs and what they wanted out of the relationship. And then, after repeating that, kind of diving into clear next steps. So I really liked that feedback from her. And as you saw at the end there, she will even kind of draft a response with you that you can then practice in the next scenario. So really love that feedback from Tivy. She's always spot on for me. So
Amazing. Charlotte, thanks for running us through that lapsed donor conversation. And if anyone's interested in also learning more about what are the state of donor conversations across the sector, we actually analyzed over 370 of these donor simulations across 106 fundraisers and just released all the findings in terms of where are fundraisers across the sector really strong in their donor conversations, and what are the gaps and opportunities for growth that we can see across the sector. And we even have some data analysis on how practice sessions like these can help. So if you're interested in diving into this study, it's free to download. You're able to grab it. I'm just going to throw a QR code right up here on the screen, my top left. Scan this QR code to download the 2025 benchmark study, the state of donor conversations, and dive in today. It's an incredible study and resource that gives us a real sense of how fundraisers are taking insights from their donors, their wealth screenings, their CRMs, and actually taking action to close more gifts and increase giving. And that is a wrap on our very first ever Donor Conversation Weekly. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will be back next Wednesday at about 10 a.m. live here on the Practivated channel. to go into a whole new donor conversation scenario. Charlotte, thanks for
Yeah.
joining me.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Till next time. With every modern tool and technology available to us, why do we still struggle to meet the donor where they are in their journey? It's because technology can't replace the #1 skill set fundraisers use and need every single day to move from insights to action: the art of human conversation and connection. Because conversations move missions. The right conversation can unlock generosity, deepen trust, and fuel impact. But fundraisers rarely get a safe place to practice those high-stakes moments. That's why we built Practivated, the first AI-powered donor conversation simulator built just for fundraisers. Our AI coach Tivy provides real-time, personalized feedback so every fundraiser can build confidence, sharpen their storytelling, and strengthen relationships.
I'm your strategic fundraising coach built right into Practivated. My whole focus is helping fundraisers like you take confident, high-impact action by aligning with what truly drives donor behavior. I'm trained in evidence-backed strategies that center authentic connection, ethical storytelling, and time-smart execution. Nothing fluffy, all results-oriented. So whether you're navigating a tricky donor conversation, refining your outreach, or battling fundraising fatigue, I'm here for just-in-time guidance that's practical and actionable.
Ready to see it in action? Step into practice today. Practivated. Confidence for every conversation.